The Slipper's Silly Quarrel. The boot cupboard door was slightly ajar, and all the boots and shoes were waking up. "Please, Mr. Left Wellington, can you see what sort of a day it is?" piped a tiny voice. Mr. Left Wellington peeped out. "Looks like rain, I think," he said, in a deep, gruff voice. "Hooray!" exclaimed Mr. Right Wellington. "Now we shall be taken out. Betty loves to splash through the puddles." Betty's birthday slippers looked sad. Their tiny rabbit's ears drooped, and the blue embroidered eyes on the toes looked quite disappointed. Then Left Slipper had a bright idea. "Perhaps it'll be too wet for Betty to go out, and she'll wear us indoors all day," he squeaked. Presently a small hand reached inside the cupboard. All the shoes hoped eagerly that it was their turn. "Hurry up, Betty, or you'll be late," called out Mrs. Brown. They had all forgotten that it was Monday and that Daddy was taking Betty to school in the car. Taking out her school shoes, Betty shut the door with a bump, knocking Left Wellington against Right Slipper and pushing him into Left Slipper's side. "Ouch!" squealed Left Slipper. "Watch out!" "Well, it wasn't my fault. Watch out yourself," retorted Right Slipper. Mr. Left Wellington said nothing. He was too busy feeling sorry for himself. "Of course it was your fault. Sheer carelessness," grumbled Left Slipper. "No need to lose your temper," shouted Right Slipper. "Why, you," threatened Left Slipper. "Be quiet, both of you," snapped Mr. Right Wellington so fiercely that they both decided to sulk in silence. They didn't speak to each other all day, and when Betty opened the cupboard door after tea they still weren't speaking. "I'll put on my bunny slippers and play in the lounge," she told her mother. Usually they would have been pleased, but this time the slippers scowled at one another. As Betty put them on and walked away, they got more and more bad-tempered, and each one decided to walk as far away as possible from the other. "Whatever are my feet doing?" wondered Betty. Then with a bump and a wallop she sat down on the floor. Mrs. Brown looked in. "Did you fall, dear? Have you hurt yourself?" she asked. "Not much, Mummy," answered Betty. "It was just that my feet seem to want to go different ways." "It must be those slippers, darling. They are getting old. The soles must be loose and you've tripped up. We must throw them out and get some new ones." "Oh no, Mummy, they're my best favourites," pleaded Betty. "Please let me keep them. It must have been my own clumsiness." "Very well, dear, if you're so fond of them," replied Mrs. Brown. The slippers sighed with relief. When they were back in the cupboard, Left Slipper spoke first. "I'm sorry, Right Slipper," he whispered. "Oh, am I?" answered his twin. "We've had a narrow escape. We mustn't ever quarrel again, or we'll end up in the dustbin," answered the other.